Good afternoon, Anne Arundel County. Good afternoon, America. Welcome to Promoting Community, Conversation, and Discovery. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. So let's go ahead and get right into our most admired. We lost a great one recently. The gentleman's name is Lenny Wilkens. He's one of the great NBA coaches and players of all time. Let's talk a little bit, dive into his life just a little bit. Okay. Lenny Wilkens was born 10/28, 1937. He died 11/9, 2005. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. He died in a place called Medina, Washington. He was a 6'1" point guard, but he could play the off guard when he needed to. This guy had all the accolades. He was such a fundamentally sound as a player, um, and fundamentally sound as a coach. So this guy was inducted into, I'm just going to read some of these accomplishments and the hard courts. Three-time inductee of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. As a player in '89, as a coach in '98, and in 2010 as the Olympic team, the Dream Team assistant coach. I think they just kind of threw that one in, quite frankly. But he was named to the NBA 50th anniversary team in I believe it was '89 when they did that. In 2006, he was named to the College Basketball Hall of Fame. He went to Providence, by the way. He was a heck of a ball player in Providence. So he started his career in 1960 with the St. Louis Hawks. He played there for 8 years. And then from St. Louis, he went to the Seattle Supersonics from 68 to 72. And he was also a player coach with the Seattle Supersonics. So he was the second player coach in the league, I believe. The first, of course, being Bill Russell. Um, went to Cleveland Cavaliers. So his career is winding down. He's still playing, though. Cleveland Cavaliers from 72 to 74, and Portland Trailblazers from 74 to 75. 15 years in the league. But then he went straight into coaching full time. First, the Seattle Supersonics. They had good teams. They won an NBA championship, by the way, as I recall. Um, that was downtown Freddie Brown, Dennis Johnson, DJ, and Gus Williams were on that team, and of course Jack Sikman. They won an NBA championship. I used to love watching those guys play. Um, he had 1,332 victories as a coach. He was number one for quite a while. I think he got passed on the list by somebody else, but he's right up there. He's probably one through three, something like that. I already mentioned he went to Providence. When I think of Lenny Wilkens, I think of class, just smooth, eloquent class. Our hats are off to the great Lenny Wilkens. He did it the right way. Okay. We want to move on to something else of consequence regarding Anne Arundel County. And what I want to take a look at this week is the Ferndale Volunteer Fire Company. Oh, they have a nice website, don't they? So here's some of the things. They're located at 4 South Broadview Street Boulevard, right here in downtown Ferndale, right off 645, B&A Boulevard, that is. Their mission is to provide the town with safety. They offer halls for rental. They offer bingo. I remember one time I was there for an auction. This was a long, long time ago. One thing that they do, which is really neat, is they do this these trains at Christmas time, and these train gardens are always neat to look at. They just are. I'm trying to pull that up a little bit. It says here, there it is right there. Okay, now November 8th, that date already passed. That was another event they had over there. But they're part of the community. They're part of the fabric of our community. And these guys do a nice job. That garden they do, that train garden, is really nice. It's really, really nice. Okay, so we're gonna stop the share. Where's that button? There we go. We're gonna stop the share, but there is something else I wanted to look at. No quite easy way to pull this thing together. Usually we talk about the greatest, the greatest, the greatest. It's usually the players. But what about the coaches? They have a list of the 15 greatest coaches in NBA history. They mentioned, I mentioned this earlier on in the report. Listen to some of these names, and there's some royalty here. Red Auerbach. Now we know about his work with the Boston Celtics from 50 to 1966. Then he turned it over to Bill Russell. He became the GM. But he didn't start off with the Boston Celtics. He was with the Washington Capitals for 3 years. That was probably before the merger. or around about the time merged. And he also coached another team, the Tri-City Blackhawks. There's a story about the great uh, Bob Cousy that Red didn't want him, but through some craziness and a supplemental draft, he ended up being with the Celtics anyway and became a great Celtic. Anyway, Red Auerbach. Let him smoke those cigars. Larry Brown. So this is in alphabetical order. Larry Brown played for Dean Smith in North Carolina. He played in the ABA for a couple of years, and then he became a coach fairly quickly. And he coached for a long time. This guy knew the game. He had a basketball summer camp. People knew this guy. Yes, this is basketball royalty right here. Larry Brown, no doubt about it. Chuck Daly. Chuck Daly knew how to win. He got to start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I did, and I think he was assistant coach with the Philadelphia 76ers for a bit, but it was with the Detroit Pistons. He brought a certain toughness, and they knew how to win. Chuck's no longer with us, but he was a great coach. Make no mistake. Red Holtzman, New York Knicks, but he didn't start with the Knicks though. He started with the Milwaukee/St. Louis Hawks back in the infancy of the league. Then he went to the Knicks, and he won with the Knicks. I think they won 2 NBA championships during Red Holtzman's stay. I don't think they've gone back. I don't think they've gone back. I don't think they've won another one. The next guy on this list, and he had great players. This is when, what was that documentary, when the Garden was golden, right? He had the Busher. He had Bill Bradley, Dollar Bill Bradley, Walt Clyde Frazier. For in the second part of the second championship, he had Earl the Pearl Monroe. But before that, of course, he had Clyde Frazier. Dick Barnett played on that team. The great Willis Reed. Yeah, the Knicks, when the Garden was golden, right? Great documentary. This next coach played for Red Auerbach. Phil Jackson. Some guys are good players and are great coaches. Some guys are great players and not good coaches. Phil's the first part of that. He was great with the Chicago Bulls. Great coach, got them to championships. He won championships with the Lakers too, but it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? It just wasn't the same. Yeah. This next guy is royalty. He creates royalty. K.C. Jones. K.C. played for Red Auerbach. He won what? He would have won like 8 or 9 championships with the Celtics. And then he won with the Washington Bullets. And then he won 2 with the Boston Celtics. This guy was a fantastic coach. No doubt about it. So we move on to another excellent role player in his pro days, Steve Kerr, and a great coach, right? He's still going strong. He's still going strong. He knows how to rebuild that team. Don Nelson. Don Nelson played for Red Auerbach. He played with all those Celtics. 6'5" guy, couldn't jump a lick. Played basically power forward, couldn't jump a lick, but was so crafty with those head fakes. He was so good at it. He coached for a long time. He got his son in the game too. And I believe he might be number 1 overall. He might be ahead of Lenny Wilkens. I think he might be. Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich did not play the game. He did not play, or at least he didn't play at a high level. It was the Air Force guy, and one of these guys that would say things like, nobody really knew what he did in the Air Force. It was one of those things, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. Yeah, Greg, but he built a dynasty with San Antonio, and he did it cleanly. The only issue with Mr. Popovich is he would like to dive into the political spectrum, and he would lose a lot of people because we don't watch you guys and we don't listen to you guys because we're interested in your politics. We want to see great basketball. Jack Ramsey. I remember when Coach Ramsey, Dr. Jack's what they call him. He was actually with the Buffalo Braves, you know? He was with the Buffalo Braves. Actually, he started off with the Philadelphia 76ers. I did not realize that. The Buffalo Braves, he had Bob McAdoo, Ernie DiGregorio, and Randy Smith. John Shoemate played for them for a split second. I remember those games because they always gave the Celtics a hard way to go. But the Celtics had John Havlicek in his prime, JoJo the Marine White, Dave Cowan, and all kinds of role players. So Boston usually won, but not by much. But he won a championship with the Portland Trailblazers. They came back. They were down 0-2 and looked like the Sixers were going to run away with the series. But that Maurice Lucas is a tough guy, boy. Anyway, Doc Rivers, he played with so much intensity with the Hawks. You know, he just was intense, intense, intense. And he was intense as a coach, too. I loved him with the Celtics. But something happened towards the end of his coaching career. I don't know. He just seemed to lose his fire. I don't know what happened there. But I won't let it take away from my thoughts on Doc Rivers. He was a hard playing dude, man. Whew, Doc was nothing but intensity on that court. And as a coach, I remember one moment the Celtics are playing the Lakers, third quarter of an important game, and Kobe Bryant is in the zone. They can't do nothing with him. And I remember the timeout, and he called his guys together. He said, "Look, he can't do this for the whole night. Just continue to play our game, and we'll win this game." And sure enough, Kobe couldn't do it for the whole night, and the Celtics came back and won. He was a great coach. Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan played the game too, played for the Bulls, and he was a tough, tough guy. He was a tough guy. He got beat up every night, but it never stopped him from going to the whole heart. Then he went into coaching. He started with the Bulls, because he played for the Bulls, but he made a name for himself with the Utah Jazz. He couldn't quite get over the top, but he had John Stockton, he had Karl Malone, and all kinds of great role players every year. I loved it when they had John Hornacek played for them. I don't know why they let him go. I love John Hornacek. Um, but and then somewhere towards the end there, he just kind of lost his enthusiasm. I think he lost his wife. I think that was kind of it for him. Um, this next guy's very interesting story, Eric Spoelstra. It's a very interesting story because he might have he might have been a gym rat, but he didn't play basketball anywhere. He started out with the Miami Heat looking at tapes, and he rose up the organization. And he's been a great coach for them. His teams always overachieve. And he's been able to figure out the dynamic as the game has changed. I like this guy. I think he's a first-class coach, Eric Spoelstra. Great story. And of course, Lenny Wilkens, we will end on Lenny because his name is with W. 1332, but I think Don Nelson, 1335. I think Don Nelson is number one. Or Phil Jackson might be up here too. Let me see. No. Phil got out before. Yeah. So it's Donnie Nelson, number one, and then Steve, and then the great Lenny Wilkens. So real quickly here, let's wrap things up. I want to put a word out to our affiliates. These are people who air community conversation discovery. Those are folks like AAC TV right here in Glen Burnie, Greenbelt Cable Access in PG County, Amherst Media in Amherst, Massachusetts, Manhattan Neighborhood Network in the Big Apple, and of course Brunswick TV3 in Maine. Upcoming events, there's only one I want to mention. This is a play, Narnia the musical, is being conducted by the Pasadena Theater Company. You might want to check that out. I saw some of the prices like $18 to $23, but it's a genre. They did a nice job. It's a nice story. I think that's C.S. Lewis. I think he's the one who wrote that. They created a nice play and they have a franchise. That's the American way, right? A franchise. So good for them. References, you can't do the show without Wikipedia, Google Images, and this week, Arts Council of Anne Arundel County, and of course, our sponsor, The Cleaning Chef. More information is available about them and their services. So for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name's Anthony Bynum. Until next time, bye-bye.